And look, Mind is able to intercept that dropship without any problem just because of that single mine. Yeah, I think I should do that more in my games, but I really don't. Anyway, that Goliath, that dropship might even go down with Charon upgrade. Oh no, it doesn't. Luckily for Fantasy, he maintains that dropship, but he has no minerals. He has no minerals. All his SCVs are on that one mineral. He looks like he's trying to land his command center, but I don't know if he can do it. This just looks really bad for Fantasy. I don't know how much he has left in the bank. He does have that little cliffside advantage to him. I don't know, it's 70% mischance. I'm not sure how much of it a mischance it is, but Fantasy really needs to land that command center. He's just been on the back foot the whole game. Mine has been so aggressive. Those SCVs really need a place to stay. There's not much Fantasy can do at this point. Other than take that expansion. If he does not get this expansion, he is going to be in a lot of trouble. In the meantime, Mind has gone for a second expansion, and that command center is getting sniped by that turret. What a shame. If that command center goes down to that turret, that would just be so terrible. Wow. And wow, Mind is setting up a radius of turrets. He's setting up a radius. I guess in Terran v Terrans you have so much minerals left because all you're using really is gas that you can build turrets, and this is actually a really nice use of, well, both scouting and preventing dropships and preventing wraiths and so on. Fantasy is forced to Maynard his SCVs even though he hasn't secured his expansion. I really don't know how Fantasy is going to really plan this game, and in the meantime he has tried to double expand. He's trying to double expand right now, but his expansion might be picked off by turrets. GG, wow. His Fantasy's command center was picked off by turrets, and Mine's just been doing a really good job of keeping Fantasy contained, and while containing Fantasy, also getting a lot of intelligence, just being constantly vigilant about where Fantasy's dropships are going to be, where he's going to expand. Mine's just been doing a really good job of it. And we haven't seen any really static play whatsoever because Fantasy has been constantly forced to fight for that natural expansion. He couldn't just sit and establish a tank line anywhere. But it looks like Fantasy finally does have expansion, so he is still in the game. He can still come back from this, hopefully. I'm really rooting for Fantasy, even though Mind is just really impressing me with his play right now. Mind, who beat S2 earlier with a mech build, I think, and Fantasy, who failed at a mech build when he's supposed to be really famous for that, actually. But yeah. I think, well, even though Mind has that nice little position there with the cliffside advantage, Fantasy will be able to push up, will be able to get rid of these turrets, will be able to drop something on those siege tanks, unless that turret comes up. Actually, that turret will come up in time. Fantasy is still on the back foot. I mean, it's so hard to push up against these siege tanks, and especially with so many reinforcements coming. The upgrades, I think, are still at 0-0. 0-0 for Mind, and 0-0 for both of them. Neither of them have been able to really upgrade, and that dropship nearly goes down. It goes down. The dropship goes down. There's only one tank on that ramp. What's his face? Mind still has that above ground, that upper ground advantage, and all his tanks, all of Fantasy's tanks, save one, were taken out. Meanwhile, Fantasy is still pumping from those two factories while Mind is building more factories, getting his macro up. I think by now he's probably established that second expansion. Fantasy is in a lot of trouble. And now it's Mind's turn to harass with some wraiths, which can be quite annoying. Fantasy will have to keep repairing that tank while he gets Goliath, because he has no Goliath. Right now, Fantasy is still in this game because it's just so hard for any race, really, to push up on the expansion. Because of that choke, because of those cliffs, those siege tanks are really just all that's keeping Fantasy in the game, and he only has 3 siege tanks, I think, 1 base that he's mining out of, and 2 factories. And he has no other units. He has no Goliaths. He has no anti-air to deal with any wraiths. It'd be pretty interesting if Mine suddenly decided to switch to Wraiths because he wouldn't Fantasy wouldn't have anything to do with it, but now he does. He has 2 Goliaths coming out of his factories. He has that 1 Wraith, that 1 cloaked Wraith, and he has the upper ground advantage. But the problem is that he doesn't have the economic advantage. He won't be able to, even though he's staying in this game so far, he won't be able to beat Mind if he keeps this up. Unless he really needs to affect some sort of damage on Mind. He hasn't been doing anything. Fantasy's been destroying turrets, destroying contains, but not really destroying anything that's part of Mind's base. So Fantasy really needs to do something. He needs to pull something off. I don't really know what he can do. Every time he's been trying dropships, trying this, trying that, he's been scouted, he's been detected, and now Mind is pushing forward with all those siege tanks from the left. It'd be interesting if he could also push from the bottom as well, now that the tanks are out of position. Wow, Mind... that wasn't too successful. Sorry. Mind did destroy a lot of Fantasy's tanks, though, and, since Mind is so ahead economically, all he really has to do is make sure that Fantasy's tank count is down. He just has to make sure that the unit count is down. He can practically throw units. I wouldn't throw units just yet against a player in an ace match, but Mind is doing quite well for himself. And it's just so difficult. I think it's partially because of this map. Whoever really gets that contain op first, whoever has the best positioning, Terran v Terran is all about positioning, and since Chupung Ryeong has that narrow choke and also that cliffside cliff to pound down on the expansion from, it's just really difficult to push out against it. You can even get behind there and snipe at all those SCVs. Really, Fantasy is not mining from anywhere right now. I think this is like a last effort dropship attack by Fantasy, but really there's nothing he can do. He completely abandoned his natural I don't know what he's going to do. There are tanks, there are Goliaths, there's even a bunker kind of waiting and wait, there's a turret. He might be able to affect some sort of damage, but wow, he only had 3 tanks and a Goliath. He's really not going to be able to do anything. It's going to be GG from Fantasy, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because I'm a fan of SKT1 and Boxer, and the player who kind of looks like Boxer but hasn't really been able to do anything Boxer-esque lately. But that was a really nice game by Mind. Mind was so aggressive. He kept that contain up. He kept anticipating all these drops. I think, yeah, WeMade Fox deserved this win. I was hoping for otherwise, but good for them. Good for them. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this series, and I'll try to work on my commentaries. I know I say a lot, and I know that I need more enthusiasm. Right. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Check out SC2GG, giving a shout out right now.com. It was actually the commentators on SC2GG who inspired me, I guess, or just introduced me to the wonderful world that is Korean pro gaming. So yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.